Your Social Security check is supposed to hit tomorrow, November 19th. But if you were born between the 11th and 20th of any month, you need to hear this right now. Here's what's actually happening with your $28 payment and why thousands of beneficiaries are about to experience unexpected delays that could throw off your entire monthly budget. The Social Security Administration follows a strict payment schedule based on your birth date. And November 19th marks the third Wednesday of the month, the exact day when payments go out to anyone born between the 11th and 20th. But here's the catch that catches people off guard every single time. Your bank's processing time, federal holidays that shift everything backward, and even weekends can push your actual deposit back by 1 to 3 business days. This isn't about the government holding your money. It's about understanding the banking system that stands between the SSA releasing funds and you actually seeing that money in your account. We're breaking down the real reasons your payment might not appear when you expect it, the 3 things you should check immediately if your deposit doesn't show up, and the 1 phone call you need to make if Wednesday comes and goes without your money. Let me tell you something that most people don't realize until they've been collecting Social Security for years. The payment system runs like clockwork, but that clock doesn't always match up with what you see in your bank account. Tomorrow is November 19th, and if you're sitting there waiting for your $208 to appear bright and early in the morning, you might find yourself refreshing your banking app over and over, wondering where your money went. But before you start panicking and thinking something terrible has happened to your benefits, you need to understand exactly how this whole system works. From the moment the Social Security Administration releases your payment to the second, it actually shows up as available funds in your account. The Social Security Administration doesn't just throw money out randomly whenever they feel like it. They've got a very specific schedule that they've been following for decades now, and this schedule is based entirely on your date of birth, not the year you were born, not your age, but specifically which day of the month you were born on. If you were born between the 11th and 20th of any month, whether that's January, July, or December, your payment always comes on the 3rd Wednesday of every single month, always. That's the rule. And the SSA sticks to it religiously. So, tomorrow, November 19th, is that 3rd Wednesday, which means the Social Security Administration is absolutely going to release your payment. They're going to process it, approve it, and send it out into the banking system. But here's where things get complicated and where most people start getting worried for no good reason. When the Social Security Administration says they're sending your payment on November 19th, what they really mean is that they're authorizing the transfer on that date. They're telling the federal payment system to move your $28 from their accounts into your bank account. But that doesn't mean your bank is going to make that money available to you immediately. Banks have their own processing times, their own schedules, and their own rules about when they post deposits to customer accounts. Some banks are lightning fast and will show your Social Security deposit within hours of receiving the authorization. Other banks take their sweet time and might not post that deposit until the next business day or even the day after that. And this is completely legal. There's nothing shady going on here. It's just how the banking system operates in America. Now let's talk about what actually happens behind the scenes when your Social Security payment gets sent out. The SSA uses something called the Automated Clearinghouse System, which everyone in banking just calls AC. This is the same system that handles direct deposits from employers, automatic bill payments, and pretty much every electronic transfer between banks in the United States. When the Social Security Administration initiates your payment, they're creating an AC transaction that tells your bank to credit your account with $2.08. But AC transactions don't happen instantly, like when you swipe your debit card at the grocery store. They get batched together with millions of other transactions and processed in waves throughout the day. The SSA typically sends out these batches early in the morning on payment day, but your specific transaction might be in the first batch, the middle batch, or the last batch. There's no way to know, and there's no way to speed it up. Your bank receives this AC transaction sometime during the day on November 19th. Once they receive it, they have to process it through their own internal systems. They need to verify the account number is correct. Make sure your account is in good standing. Check for any holds or restrictions on your account and then actually post the credit to your available balance. Different banks handle this process at different speeds. Some of the big national banks like Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo have pretty efficient systems and usually post Social Security deposits by the end of the business day. On payment day, credit unions can be hit or miss. Some are incredibly fast, while others might take an extra day because they're smaller institutions with fewer resources. And if you're using one of these newer online banks or fintech apps, they sometimes post deposits even earlier than traditional banks because they're trying to compete for customers by offering faster access to money. But wait, there's more to consider here. November 19th falls on a Wednesday this year, which is perfect because that's a normal business day. Banks are open. The Federal Reserve is processing transactions. Everything is running smoothly. But you need to think about what happens if there are any hiccups along the way. If there's a federal holiday anywhere near your payment date, everything shifts backward. If there's a weekend right before your payment date, that can delay when the initial processing starts. And even though November 19th itself is clear, if your bank has any internal issues, system maintenance, software updates, technical problems that could delay when your deposit shows up in your account. These delays are usually just a few hours or maybe one business day at most. But when you're counting on that money to pay your rent or buy your medications, even a one-day delay feels like forever. Here's something else that trips people up all the time. Let's say your payment gets processed perfectly, and your bank credits your account on November 19th. You might still not be able to access all of that money right away. Some banks put holds on deposits, especially if it's a new account, or if there's been any unusual activity on your account recently. These holds are meant to protect against fraud, but they can be incredibly frustrating when you're trying to access your own Social Security money. Usually, these holds only last 24 hours or less, but occasionally they can stretch longer. If you've been getting Social Security deposits at the same bank for years and years, you probably won't run into this problem. But if you recently switched banks or opened a new account, this is definitely something to watch out for. Now let's talk about that $28 figure specifically, because that number tells us a lot about your situation. The average Social Security retirement benefit in 2024 is around $1,900 per month. So, if you're getting $2,800, you're slightly above average. That probably means you had pretty decent earnings during your working years. Or maybe you waited past your full retirement age to start claiming benefits and got those delayed retirement credits that increase your monthly payment. Either way, that $208 is based on your lifetime earnings record and the age when you started claiming benefits. The Social Security Administration calculates this amount using a complex formula that looks at your highest 35 years of earnings, adjusts those earnings for inflation, and then applies a formula that's designed to replace a higher percentage of earnings for lower income workers and a lower percentage for higher income workers. Your specific benefit amount gets locked in when you start claiming, and then it goes up each year based on the cost of living adjustment that gets announced every October. But here's what you need to understand about that $2.80. It's your gross benefit amount before any deductions. If you're enrolled in Medicare, Part B, they're taking out about $174.70 per month for your premium, which would drop your actual payment down to around $1,833. If you're enrolled in Medicare Part D for prescription drug coverage, that's another deduction. If you have any federal taxes withheld from your Social Security check, that comes out too. If you owe any back child support or unpaid federal debts, they can garnish your Social Security to pay those debts. So, when you're sitting there waiting for $2.80 to hit your account, Make sure you're accounting for all these deductions. The amount that actually gets deposited might be quite a bit less than the full benefit amount you're entitled to. Let's get into the practical side of what you should do if tomorrow comes and goes without your payment showing up. First thing Wednesday morning, check your bank account. Don't just look at your available balance. Actually check your transaction history to see if there's a pending deposit from the Social Security Administration. Sometimes the money is there in your account, but it's showing as pending rather than available, which means the bank has received the transaction but hasn't finished processing it yet. If you see a pending deposit, that's actually good news because it means everything is working correctly and you just need to wait a few more hours for it to clear. If you don't see anything at all by Monday morning on Wednesday, don't panic yet. Give it until the end of the business day. Banks typically have a cut-off time around 5 or 6 p.m. for posting deposits, and your transaction might be in one of the later batches. If Wednesday evening rolls around and there's still nothing in your account, now it's time to take action. Thursday morning, call your bank first. Don't call Social Security yet. Start with your bank because they can tell you whether they've received the AC transaction from Social Security or not. If they've received it but haven't posted it yet, they can often tell you exactly when it will become available. If they haven't received anything at all from Social Security, then you know the issue is on the SSA side rather than the banking side. When you call your bank, have your account number ready and be prepared to verify your identity with security questions. Ask them specifically if they've received an AC deposit from the Social Security Administration scheduled for November 19th. Ask them if there are any holds on your account that might be delaying the posting of deposits, and ask them when they expect the deposit to show as available funds if they have received it. If your bank tells you they haven't received anything from Social Security, then it's time to contact the Social Security Administration directly. You can call their national number at 1-800-77-21213. Be prepared for potentially long wait times, especially right after payment dates when lots of people are calling about missing deposits. When you get through to a representative, have your Social Security number ready and be prepared to verify your identity. Tell them that your payment was scheduled for November 19th based on your birth date, but it hasn't arrived. They can look up your payment record in their system and tell you whether the payment was actually issued or if there was some problem that prevented it from going out. Sometimes there are issues with your banking information on file. Maybe the account number got entered wrong at some point, or maybe you changed banks and forgot to update your information with Social Security. They can help you straighten all of that out. There are a few specific situations that can cause legitimate delays in your Social Security payment that have nothing to do with the banking system. If your case is under review for any reason, maybe the SSA is verifying your eligibility or checking on your work earnings or investigating a report that you're no longer eligible for benefits. They might hold your payment until that review is complete. If you recently moved and changed your address, that can sometimes cause hiccups in the system. If you recently got married or divorced and your name changed, that can create issues too. If you're receiving supplemental security income in addition to regular Social Security retirement benefits, the payment schedules are different, and that can cause confusion. And if you're subject to any kind of offset or garnishment for debts you owe, sometimes the calculations take extra time and can delay your payment by a day or two. The bottom line is this: your November 19th payment is almost certainly going to arrive, but the exact timing might vary by a day or two depending on your specific bank and circumstances. This is completely normal and happens to thousands of beneficiaries every single month. The key is knowing what to expect, knowing how to check on your payment status, and knowing who to call if there's actually a problem. Don't let anxiety about a one-day delay ruin your whole week. But also don't ignore a missing payment if it stretches beyond 48 hours past your scheduled payment date. Stay calm, follow the steps we've outlined, and you'll get your money. The Social Security Administration isn't perfect, and neither is the banking system. But between the two of them, they manage to get millions of payments out correctly every single month. Your $28 is coming. It's just a matter of being patient and knowing how to navigate the system when things don't happen exactly on